Hello, everyone, and welcome to Polymathy Guide. So this is video 2 in our Excel Mastery series, and in this video, we're going to discuss how to navigate your Excel sheet. Now, recap of the first video where we briefly touched on each of the sections of the Excel user interface. And just to reiterate, we're going to go in depth as we come across each one of those sections of a ribbon or the different ribbon tabs or what have you. So, again, this video, we're simply talking how to navigate the Excel sheet through the use of your mouse, keyboard buttons, and the like. So, in order to follow along, I've provided a sample data set workbook in the video description down below. So, if you would please open up that workbook, and what you should see is what I'm sharing on my screen here, a random fictitious data set that is organized into this little table. So the first way to navigate our sheet is very intuitive. It is with the mouse. And so you can see how quickly we can move and traverse left and right and up and down with our mouse. We can also click at random and select cells very quickly, very precisely through the use of our mouse. Now, the majority of the time utilizing the mouse and clicking at random throughout a sheet is perfectly fine. In fact, you'll notice some people, when they share their sheet, they have certain, it seems to be like Excel nervous ticks where they click between cells or they highlight sections while they're talking. Um, Means nothing. It's a funny observation on my part. But when I'm sharing, I try to like intentionally not do that because I'm sure that I have one or two of those random Excel ticks. Uh, at any rate, yeah, we can click around with our mouse and the left click button. We can also utilize the arrow keys on our keyboard, and by using the up, down, left, right arrow keys, we can navigate from cell to cell on our sheet. If we wanted to navigate quickly to the edge of a set of data, we can incorporate the control button with the arrows. And by pressing control and clicking the, for example, right arrow, you can see that I pop right over to the right side of my information. If I then press control down arrow, you see it takes me down to the bottom of my information. And so you can just fly around utilizing the control button and the arrow keys on your keyboard. If instead of just moving throughout the sheet, I wanted to select portions of my sheet, I can, of course, click on a cell and drag, in which you see wherever I drag my arrow, uh, it selects, or yeah, it selects the cells in between the point of my cursor and the origin point from which I first clicked and held the left click button. You can also do that by holding the shift button and utilizing the arrow keys. And so you can select cells that way by using the left and right while holding the shift, up and down while holding the shift, and that will select cells based on utilizing the keys. A third way that you can select cells is to click on the origin point, and then holding shift, you can click on another cell and it will automatically select everything in between those 2 points. No matter where I click, it will adjust accordingly. Very quick way to select information. Okay, if I was here in my data and I just wanted to pop to the bottom right or the last instance in which information has been entered, I can press Control End, and it will take me to the bottom right corner of my data set. If I press Control Home, perhaps counterintuitively, it doesn't take me back to the beginning of my data set, but it takes me back to cell A1. That is Control Home. Takes me back to cell A1. And no matter where I am, no matter if I'm within a data set, outside of a data set, Control Home always takes me back to cell A1. So, not terribly useful on a small data set like this, but uh, when you really get in and you're working large sets of information, you can have hundreds of columns, tens to hundreds of thousands of rows, and button mashing just doesn't do it for you. You know, you got to be able to traverse quickly. You have to be able to select quickly and confidently. And so, developing the muscle memory around holding control and shift, or control or shift, utilizing your mouse button or the arrows to get whatever needs done. That's going to start to separate you from just a very basic user um, to an advanced user. You know, advanced users, and this is just a side note here, advanced users have really two things going for them. One is they're incredibly adept at utilizing all the tools that Excel has to offer. But the other piece of that is having the muscle memory to perform these actions very quickly. So, you know, when we get to video 50 of this Excel Mastery series, you're going to have obtained all of the information necessary to be a master of Excel. What will be the homework for you is to develop that muscle memory, and that's really just practice and practice and practice these techniques. So that's on you. And I hope you follow through with it, because you know, this line of work, it is a good line of work, and it pays well, and it's secure, and so anybody that can get into it, man, I'm all for it. Okay, where were we? Um, we were talking about traversing, selecting. Okay. So if we're entering data for the first time, we could, for example, enter information here, and we could press enter, and it will always drop us down to the next row. If instead I press tab, it will always take us to the next column to the right. And so if I continued to press, or to enter information and press tab here and here and here, and then I press enter, what we're going to see is we're actually going to get something similar to a typewriter action, where by pressing enter after entering information in a row, it's going to pop us down to the next row and all the way back to the first column of the previous row that we had entered information into. I don't know if that's like an homage or a throwback to the old typewriter days. Maybe it was unintentional, but that's basically the same effect. Uh, so tab and enter get us to move right and down. If we do shift tab and shift enter, we move in the opposite direction. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to select this temporary information here. I'm going to press delete because I like a nice clean workbook, because I'm weird like that. We've discussed home and moving to the end, arrows, mouse clicks. Yes, that's all good. So selecting an entire row or an entire column, you can press shift space to select an entire row. You can press control space to select an entire column. I think that there are instances in which you might find this handy. However, Excel has made it very easy for us to select rows and columns by simply clicking on the header for the column or the header for the rows. Will achieve the same function. And because the column and row headers are always visible no matter where you scroll in your sheet, it makes it just as efficient, if not more efficient, than a keyboard shortcut. So again, selecting it, the header will select the entire row, or the column header will select the entire column. All right, what else do we have on our docket? Uh, so the workbook that I've provided for you in the description contains one sheet. So let's go ahead and just revisiting something that we discussed in the first video, this plus icon where we can add more sheets. Let's go ahead and just add maybe 3 or 4 arbitrary sheets here. And so what we can do is, to navigate between sheets, we can simply use our mouse button, our left mouse button, to click between sheets at random, or we can press Control Page down and Control Page up to quickly scroll back and forth through the pages. I find this useful when I've got a series of pages with identical formatting, and so I can quickly scroll between the pages and just allow my eye to pick out visual anomalies in which some degree of formatting has changed, be it a row width or a column width or some border. Scrolling through the pages quickly like that, your eye will pick that sort of stuff out. So that's most often where I use Control Page up and Control Page down. Down here in the bottom right corner, also just revisiting something that was discussed in the first video, are the 3 buttons that change our views. Now, of course, we're in normal view right now. We can select this center one, which is page layout, to go to the page layout view, or we can select this right one to go to page break view to see how our data set or our sheet is going to be broken up when we go to print it. And of course, all this stuff is adjustable, something we'll discuss in a later video dedicated to that. But my opinion and my advice for you, especially when you're sharing, excuse me, especially when you're sharing a workbook, um, is to save it in normal view and just send it out that way. That's the most reliable way to ensure that what your end user gets as far as view is the same thing that you intend on them seeing when you last save it. So page break and page layout can provide some anomalies from the way you save it to the way another user opens it based on settings. Normal view, generally speaking, avoids that sort of issue. Okay, checking back on my list of items to cover. The zoom. Last thing on our list is the zoom. So down here in the bottom right, you do have the zoom slider in which you can press the plus or minus icons to zoom in and out. You can grab the slider and slide it. You can also click on the number, which brings up this zoom box, and you can select a different zoom percentage. I find both of these ways just a little bit clunky or slow. I much prefer to hold the control button and use my mouse wheel scrolling forward and backwards to zoom in and out. I find this to be the most natural and quick way to do it. My left index finger is almost always resting on the control and shift button anyways. So to simply zoom in and out is very quick. Um, yeah, gang, I think that that's it for this video. So we discussed using the keyboard buttons, the keyboard arrows to navigate left and right, using the mouse to navigate throughout the worksheet, using control and shift to pop over to the far edge of your information, or popping over to the far edge and selecting. We talked about changing the views, and we talked about zooming in and out, as well as navigating from sheet to sheet. So, just a quick note: this sort of pace is going to be pretty much par for the course moving forward. Um, I felt it necessary to make the first video a much slower pace, because I think that if you're opening Excel for the very first time, it can be quite intimidating. I mean, there's just a vast array of options, and that ribbon up top doesn't help with so many possibilities to select from. Um, I felt it was necessary to make that a longer, slower video. But definitely moving forward, this will be the pace of the videos, as you have the ability to pause and rewind and fast forward and do whatever you need to do to revisit a particular topic that I discussed, or to practice these actions on your own. So I encourage you to take that workbook that I put down in the description, play with it, use the items that I talked about as far as navigating, start to develop that muscle memory. And I'll see you in video 3, where we discuss data entry and the best methods for um, importing data from an external source, or just creating data, putting it in manually in a blank workbook. So we'll talk about all the best methods and best practices for that. If you're still with me, I sure do appreciate it. And as always, if you know somebody that could benefit from this course, where we take you from absolute zero to having obtained all the information of a full fledged Excel master, by all means, forward this video, forward my channel onto those people, be it friends or family or coworkers. Um, and I'll see you in video 3.